It's an early morning in Ponyville. Amy Rose was getting ready to go to work at Sugar Cube Corner. She had been working there for the past 3 years. She has been actually living in Equestria for the past 3 years. 3 years ago, she ended up in Equestria by an accident after that she and her friends from her old world was fighting against Dr. Eggman. But when the Chaos Control machine malfunctioned and it was this bright flash of light, which made her end up in Equestria. At first, she didn't know where she even were, or if she was alone, or where her friends had ended up. But after she was found by two ponies, Fluttershy and Rainbow Dash, she at first was hesitating to believe if she could trust them. But after that, they were to be trustworthy. She actually at first was a little bit just shy around them. But after she met her dear friends, she actually became good friends with them. After that, she had learned there was no way for her going back to her old world by magic way anyways. She had to come to the realization that she had to be staying now in Equestria. But even though that it has been 3 years ago, she adapted to living in a pony world quite fast. In fact, when she was spending time with Pinkie, they bonded over baking. After all, Pinkie was actually quite interested to learn more of some recipes from Amy's world. And Amy was actually quite interested to learn more of some recipes that Pinkie knew. And after a while, Pinkie had to ask the Cake family, especially the parents, if Amy could have been working for them. Since if the Cake family would have been going out of town, and if Pinkie would need some help, Amy would have been a good option. And the Cake parents was actually at first a little bit hesitating. But they hired Amy as for the part-time job, as to see how she could handle up the stress or not. And when she actually had introduced some of her own recipes to the public loved them. And was then when the Mr. and Mrs. Cake had decided to fully hire her officially. Ever since then, Amy loved her job. And this morning, she went to her work as normal since it was only her and Pinkie, since the Cake family was actually in Trottingham for about a couple of days. So Pinkie was already in the kitchen preparing from some new batches of cupcakes when Amy walked in. Hey, Pinkie. Morning, Amy, she said with a big smile. So, what are you baking today? Oh, apple cupcakes, she said, a big smile. Oh, are you going to try the new recipe that you told me about? asked Pinkie. Amy had told her the day before she was going to try a new recipe of orange. She was decided to try orange pie. Yeah, I'm not so sure if it's going to be a good success. I think maybe I will try to make 2 pies, just so, and let the public to try them if they like it or not. I mean, what do you think about that? Pinkie smiled and said, not a bad idea. I like it. So both started baking their cupcakes and pies, and throughout the entire day, Amy had no difficulties to making the pies for the public. By the end of the day, she had received all positive comments about the orange pies. In fact, she even told Pinkie that she was just happy that the public liked the idea. And even Pinkie said that if you don't try the new things in life, you won't be able to know if they like or not. And that was actually not a bad idea. So the next day, when Amy went to work again, she made more batches of orange pies. and even helped Pinkie to deliver some cupcakes to a small party that was going to have been held that afternoon. But when he had returned, they smelled something bad happened. It turned out Amy had forgotten one pie in the oven, and it had started completely burned. Oh man, I really ruined this one. Pinkie smiled and said, "Don't worry, Amy. You're older than me, like what, 10 already?" "Yeah, I suppose. I'm sure you have burned something like that before." "You don't know what means about that, but yes, I have," said Pinkie. "But I learned from my mistakes." "Yeah, that's true," said Amy. And right about the end of the afternoon, Amy said goodbye to Pinkie, and she decided to leave work a bit earlier since she wasn't feeling well. In fact, she was having a slight headache. So she went back to the castle where she was staying at the moment. But when she was laying in her bed, she was actually thinking about one thing. Pinkie. For the past year, Amy has started to develop some feelings towards Pinkie. But she wasn't really sure if she would like her the same way back or not. That same evening at dinner, there was just only Twilight and Amy. Spike was actually at Rarity's boutique to have some dinner with her. Amy was looking a little bit sad or out of thoughts. "Amy, yeah? What's the matter?" asked Twilight. It's nothing the matter, just, deep thoughts." "What are you thinking about?" Amy was hesitating to try to tell her exactly, but since she had known Twilight for 3 years and know that she can be really trustworthy, "Can I tell you something?" "Yeah, of course you can. What is it?" "I have a crush on on some pony." "Oh, who is it?" "Promise you won't laugh." "You have my word." "It's Pinkie." "Wait, are you serious?" "Yeah. But I don't know if she will even like me the same way back. First, Amy, I have known Pinkie for a long time. She would not laugh or anything against that. To be honest, Pinkie actually has been quite lonely since, well, ever. I mean, most of us have a boyfriend already. But Pinkie hasn't been able to find anyone to be with. Considering how much she's been working at the School of Friendship and at Sugar Cube Corner, and she doesn't much have any, well, as much time for dating. Oh, I didn't realize how much busy her life was being. Maybe me and her not weren't being considered as possibility then. Amy, don't say it like that, said Twilight. If you really like her, you should at least tell her how you feel. Even if it means the risk that she will reject you or only like you as a friend. You have to be able to be trustworthy of your own heart. Listen to your heart. That same evening, Amy remembered the same words that Twilight told her. To listen to her heart. And that was what she did. And it somehow made her realize she had to tell Pinkie. Even at the risk of her being rejected. But she had to do it somehow. So by the next day, when she went back to her work in the morning, she felt a little bit nervous around Pinkie. More than usual. Ever since this before she even had to talk to Twilight, she didn't know what else to do. But She never told Pinkie that day. But what Amy didn't know, that Pinkie, the fact, actually were in love with Amy. And she hadn't even told any pony either. The reason why, well, she wasn't sure if Amy would dating a pony in the first place. But despite that, in a couple of days after this, the Cake family had returned and everything went back to normal. Amy didn't show up much at the work for as much as the next week. It's because that she had a lot of things to be taking care of the Castle School of Friendship actually also. But one day when Pinkie were along with Fluttershy and Twilight just having lunch together, a topic of Amy came up, especially about her birthday. Pinkie had almost forgotten about it was actually Amy's birthday soon. And she wanted to do something quite special for Amy, but she didn't know exactly what. But then she realized, what if she actually made a cake of her favorite flavors and maybe something else on it? Since her birthday wasn't within the next 2 days, so she had at least some 2 days on to figure out what to do for her. But also another thing is what to give her. She decided to get her a scarf that Rarity could help her with. So after her lunch, she went to Rarity's boutique to ask her about it. "Darling, that's just a nice idea," she said. So Pinkie suggested the colors that will be used for the scarf. And Rarity promised to have the scarf made within a day, and she didn't have to pay for it. Amy was clueless about all of this, because Pinkie had decided to make this like a big surprise party. And to have her away from the castle is that she would have been occupied with Spike. Spike kept her distracted most of the noon, but it wasn't until in the early afternoon that she would have been brought back to the castle. So, but it was still 2 days away from this. But on the actual birthday itself, Pinkie had made a vanilla cake with strawberries on it and a marzipan rose as the significant part out of her name. And when Spike brought Amy back to the castle, everyone was hiding and jumped up and said, "Surprise!" Amy almost fainted out of shock. But during the party, everybody had a great time. But the one who was the most nervous was actually Pinkie. Because when she handed over the gift, there was actually even a note in it. It says, "Amy, you may not know this, but you're the most beautiful girl I ever seen, and I have this strong feelings for you, and I just wanted you to let you know, and I understand if you don't like me the same way back." And after Amy read the note, she looked at Pinkie, who looked almost as if she was about to cry, and her fluffy mane had almost become flat, as it usually happens if she's sad. But then Amy walked up to Pinkie and smiled and said, "I love you too, Pinkie. I really do." That made her smile, and she actually then gave Amy a kiss, which surprised Amy. She didn't expect that. But all her friends actually shared and said, "That's a cute moment." And even after the party, when Pinkie was about to leave, Amy asked her if she wanted to go out with her on a date, which Pinkie said yes. And then a couple of days later, they actually went on their first official date. They actually went to have a picnic outside town, since it was a good day for that. But despite this, They didn't make it official until like after almost 2 months. The only first of her Pinkie's family to become aware of her officially was Maud, since Maud Pie lived in Ponyville. And Pinkie was actually happy to see that her sister had accepted Amy. The fact also, after they had been together for maybe just 2 months, they actually went to the rock farm to introduce Amy to Pinkie's family. Every pony was actually quite happy to see them being together, even though Limestone Pie seems to be almost not against, but she seems to be a little rough about this and whole idea. She was testing Amy sometimes, like asking her questions, what she thought about her sister, what she thought about their potential future, how she's been treating her, hoping that like that. But Pinkie, when she was told, or at least found out, she wasn't really happy that Limestone was keeping just such questions. So Limestone apologized and backed off from that. But eventually, even Limestone actually fully accepted Pinkie that Amy were, in fact, that Amy were Pinkie's girlfriend. But over time, their relationship only grew stronger and stronger, and Amy couldn't have been happier to be with the pony that she loved the most. Even though they couldn't spend as much dates together as they wanted to, the fact that both have their both jobs at Sugarcook Corner and School of Friendship. But during the weekends and the school holidays, they spend a lot of time together. Well, when they were not at their work at Sugarcook Corner. But one day, after being together for nearly 4 years, Pinkie thought that she was ready to ask Amy the big question. So she took Amy to the same meadow where they had the first date on, and after they even had a picnic, and she didn't ask her the question. Amy didn't hesitate to say yes immediately. When they told the rest of the friends and Pinkie's family, they were all quite excited actually. And Pinkie had asked Fluttershy to be her maid of honor, and Amy had asked Rarity to be her maid of honor, and both wanted to have Twilight to Pony to perform the ceremony, and they couldn't be happier. The fact, even at the party afterwards, at the wedding reception, it was a clearly sign how much they both love each other. Even especially during the first dance, how they looked deep in each other's eyes. It was like the whole world stopped around them, and that they were the only ones even there presently. Later, it was time for them to go on their to their honeymoon. As a gift from all her friends, they were sending over to Crystal Empire for 2 whole weeks. And they were just quite excited to be there. They had this great time, going to the movies, having romantic dinners, and just a quite amazing time actually. And even when they came back to Ponyville, they were just happy to have entered a new chapter in their lives. But after being married for about 3 years, both Amy and Pinkie had talked about having a family together. But since they couldn't even have children of their own, so they decided to adopt. They managed to adopt a young Earth Pony daughter and even an Earth Pony boy who was actually siblings. They were just happy to have their own family. Even their children was actually quite happy to have a hedgehog as a mother, and even Pinkie as a mother. While at first they were a bit shy around them, but after getting to know their new moms quite well, and seeing how how crazy they could be sometimes being when it comes to baking or throwing parties. They were just happy. And for Amy of all, ever since she had arrived to Equestria all those years ago, she had actually wanted a few things in her mind. One of them was that if she was able to go back home, but she later found out she couldn't. Another one of those things is in her mind if she will find her new true love, since she believed that Sonic, her friend from her old world, was the one that she's gonna be with. But it turned out she wasn't. She was just happy that she had found her true love within Pinkie. Pinkie though. She was just happy that Amy Rose was the one that she would end up with. Their love for each other only grew stronger and was an unbreakable bond. And this is how Pinkie Pie and Amy Rose were the true love got a big family together. The end.